it developed into a language that I feel most comfortable expressing myself in. I can paint you a picture of how I'm feeling better than I can actually describe to you using words how I feel. I just found comfort in the arts because I was able to actually express myself like truly and authentically. Even now, I'm still learning how to express myself. That led me to going to getting my bachelor's in visual arts. And then I got experience teaching at a private school for the arts. And then that leads me to actually facilitating my own spaces and actually creating, curating art spaces all around Toronto today. And I actually have my own personal body of work that I work on.
Chika, can you tell me, what do people experience on a paint event with you?
So when you come, you can come for the artistic to actually express and want to create art. And then some people actually come just for the social, like being in a social gathering.
Welcome to COOLIFE Podcast, brought to you by therealthingdating.com. www.therealthingdating.com.
Polydor Records for out scouting. This girl grabbed my bangs and ran my head right into the speaker.
Oh,
And everyone cheered like this, yeah.
When we shot the scene in Good Will Hunting, I didn't know who most of these people were at the time. I mean, they weren't stars. It was Gus Van Sant that directed it. Gus Van Sant was on the floor with Matt Damon's character. I didn't even know who Matt Damon was at that time.
I'm Eva John. I'm a former candidate for local government. I was a children's television entertainer, and I love this world, and I believe we should take care of each other and have a lot of fun along the way. Welcome to COOLIFE. Here we go.
and welcome to COOLIFE Podcast. I'm Eva John, and today we have an accomplished artist, Chika Oh. She is a Canadian artist who also is a facilitator of exciting paint night events. Chika, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm so excited to have you here. And for the work that you do and the way that you also bring art to others, can you tell me your website where people can find you?
Of course. It's www.createwithchikao.com. That's create with Chika O, and it's oh.com.
Thank you. Chika, can you tell me, do you have any upcoming exciting events?
Yes, I do. Actually, next week, Thursday, May 30th, I'm having a paint night. New location. It is in Scarborough, 3357 Kingston Road. So it starts at 8. And it'll also be on my website next Thursday, May 30th. We're having a paint night.
Okay, Thursday, May 30th, 2024. And of course, by checking on your website, people can keep up to date on other upcoming art events. Thank you so much, Chika. Now, Chika, can you tell me, what do people experience on a paint event with you?
So I like to split the type of people who come into two categories. So when you come, you can come for the artistic to actually express and want to create art. And then some people actually come just for the social, like being in a social gathering. Maybe they're not necessarily there for the arts, but it's just for the environment that arts creates. Yeah.
I think that's really important these days. I know there's all kinds of new studies and reports starting to come through after the pandemic and lockdowns and people in isolation kind of forgetting how to socialize.
Exactly.
And I think that's a nice way for people to reassimilate into society without a whole lot of pressure. And it's something really wonderful that you're bringing to people.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell me, is there a difference between a traditional painting class that people would experience compared to what they would encounter in that more social atmosphere of a paint night event?
Yes. For a traditional painting class where it'll be more focused on the actual art, so the elements, the arts, the techniques. Whereas paint night, I actually will teach you techniques, but in a less direct way,
Hmm.
more social. Depending on like who your instructor is, I like to incorporate music into my art. So you'll find that there is a lighter vibe when I actually introduce art or talk to people about art. Sometimes it's a little bit like almost like it's an assignment or a test. And it's like it's not a test, it's something that's supposed to be lighthearted and easy, and you're just here to like flow and express. That's really all it is. So we create this fun, sociable environment that like people will want to open up. And when you're open, you can create like amazing artwork that way.
That's really wonderful that you offer that kind of an experience and still introducing art to people. And a little further on to what you were mentioning, can you tell me what kind of adjustment you make for the needs of a particular group that's attending your paint nights?
So really depends on like age group, obviously. If I'm dealing with a younger group, like 6 to 11, and if we're dealing with older group, the adjustments I would make would be a material, subject matter, something that isn't as complicated, but you still take that. It allows yourself to still play in the arts, but then it's not something that's too like complicated. So with the younger group, I'll like change the subject matter.
Right. Well, do you ever bring in figure models to be a part of the class?
Not this type. Paint night is more so a lighthearted. So people are not necessarily going there for technique. So I wouldn't bring in figure models, but if it helps, I do bring in what inspired me to create the art. That will be painting for the evening, if that makes sense.
Right, right. Oh, absolutely. No, for sure. I get that. And now, for a paint event, do you offer different mediums for use, like painting on wood or on glass or sculpting?
Yes, I do. That's one thing I made sure that I included in my paint nights, because I don't want I do have regulars who come back, so I don't want you to be experiencing the same thing every time. So I actually purposely mix it up. So every time the material is not going to be the same. And I actually kind of throw in some oddballs, like so that when people come in, it's like they're kind of thrown off, like, what are we going to use this for? But it's like you'll get the whole picture at the end, and you'll see how everything, the material ties into actually creating the art.
Right.
Yes, I do add material. I like to change it up.
Right. Can you give me an example of some of the different materials that people might encounter?
So obviously you have your acrylic paint, medium, our brushes. So I like to change up the utensils that we actually use to apply the art. So I'll use like Q-tips are a great way to like create flowers out of that. So you get like 2 brushes that are great to make stars, trees, greenery, grass. So I like to bring in these everyday regular things, but I like to use it in new ways to show people, to attach that creativity. Like you can use things to create art. It's not necessarily just the traditional paintbrush and paint. Sometimes we bring in our hands. Everything is water soluble, so it doesn't like manicures or anything like that. So I make sure everybody know that as well.
Right.
What are some other items that we use? We changed the actual canvas that we paint on. So you could actually give an example of wood. So we do change it to wood canvas. So canvas is made out of wood, no cotton material.
Oh,
Um,
wow. So it'll actually be paint on a wood
yeah,
panel.
yeah. I treat the wood so that it's it'll accept the paint. It'll last for a long time as well. We have the traditional canvases, and then I like to switch up the sizes as well.
Right.
The compositions of it. Maybe we do like a real horizontal one, or or a large piece, small piece. I've done some plaster artwork as well.
I'm wondering, just going back to the wood panels now, what kind of preparation? Sounds like you have to do like quite a bit. So to get wood in the condition as you described,
Yeah.
where it will accept the paint, absorb the paint, and it would be long lasting. So what's the difference between a wood panel previous to it being prepared and then once it's prepared?
So it's just because I'm an artist and I deal with material all the time, I kind of use that information and apply it in my art, in my paint night. So I prep everything because over time things age. So and depending on the type of paint you use,
Right.
will depend on the longevity of your artwork, and also depending on the priming that you do on whatever material, whether it's wood or canvas, will also differentiate, and also will differentiate in the time that you're painting lasts. So I want people to create long-lasting artwork. So this is something that you took time to do in a creative space. So I do like take that extra precaution, just so that you get the best version of your artwork that you make.
Well, I'm glad to see that you're putting those kinds of preparations and effort into making it a successful night for people participating. Have you observed a particular difference between paint events that are geared for children and paint events that are geared for adults?
The core of the two paint nights are essentially the same. Now, the language or the subject matter, those things may differ, but actually, if you think about so as an instructor, it's very important how people learn. So you do things from, I'll give an example, from background to foreground. You want to apply your background first before you do your foreground. So those traditional techniques are always going to be the same. Those fundamental techniques are always going to stay the same, whether it's from child to adult. Now, how I communicate those fundamentals, those things are going to change. So the words I use to describe what it is that we're actually doing.
Right,
So,
right. That's cool. Well, we're going to take a break and we're going to actually take a look at a couple of comments that have come in to COOLIFE. Just remember that you can send your comments to us directly to info@coolifeworld.com. That's info@coolife world.com. Now, for a comment that came in, this was pertaining to our guest, Paris Black. It was a 4-part interview and pertaining to part 3 of our 4-part interview. And so this comment is so candid and authentic. He's very easy to listen to. So again, that's talking about Paris Black. Articulate and incisive. So yes, I agree with that. Paris Black was a fantastic guest with an amazing background in the music industry and being a recording artist who signed his first recording contract at the age of 15. And what were you doing when you were 15 years old? So it's really something. So kudos to Paris. And so thank you so much for that comment. It's really nice. And then one that we got from Didier at AM Art Institute. And this is for Paris Black. He says, sounds like you've been living a cool life. Thank you very much, Didier. I think I have to agree. And we have this other comment from John. And thank you, John. He's a great supporter. And so that is, as before, another great episode worthy of many praises. Well done. So he loved that part 3 of the 4-part interview with Paris Black. And thank you so much for the great comments, everybody. So we look forward to your further comments, which are welcome right on YouTube or on Spotify or the other streaming services, or by emailing us at info@COOLIFEWorld.com. In the meantime, we'll take a break to talk about our sponsors and supporters, and we'll be back on Cool Life Podcast.
Those lonely days of lockdowns and isolation are gone for good. Go to www.therealthingdating.com. That's www.therealthingdating.com. It's time to share. Share your time, share your life, share your love. www.therealthingdating.com. Join for free. Upgrade at any time, starting at just $5.99 a month. www.therealthingdating.com. Because it's time. You're listening to the Cool Life Podcast. We'll be back in 3, 2, 1.
And we are back on Cool Life Podcast, continuing our conversation with Chika Oh. Chika, I wonder, can you tell me, during paint night, do you find that the participants are changing up their method of communication because they've got a buffer of this paint event, as opposed to just meeting somebody cold turkey?
Yes. Actually, being in the space, that's the transformation that happens. Well, at paint night, that a lot of the participants, from my perspective as the instructor, I get to see that the communication does change, and actually it amplifies whatever communication style the individual best communicates in. So you get to see a lot of the behaviorals and communication amplified while they're painting. I get to observe that. I'm not sure if they can see that during, well, actually being the person painting, but that's something at the end. I like to do this review and kind of let everybody see my perspective of what I've observed during this event. So, and what I experienced being the instructor versus what they experienced being the participants.
You're a little bit of a psychologist for them too, I guess.
So,
observing.
It's very hard. I know studies are coming out now to separate arts from the mind. So they are correlated. And I understand this because I've been in the arts for so long, but people don't know that it's happening while it's happening. So they're experiencing a lighthearted environment. I'm seeing, well, how their mind works actually on the canvas. So, and I like to, this is actually, like, because it's a safe space, we actually have this dialogue as a group once we finish it, right? Once we finish the canvas. So, yeah.
Interesting observation. I'm wondering if you've also ever observed a therapeutic value in the paint night events.
Absolutely. So initially I got into the arts because of that reason. And during, like, after the pandemic, seeing the need, not only for myself, but other individuals, for this space to express and release, like, whatever's going on or whatever we're experiencing. It absolutely has a correlation. And for that reason, I actually bring on board a licensed therapist because hosting so many paint nights, I see the correlation very clearly. But I wanted a licensed therapist to be on board, so like she can add in her professional background. It's that's not what I went to school for. So I wanted to bring somebody on board who understands that from the textbook version. And it's like, am I experiencing what it is that I feel like what I'm observing? And we'll have that dialogue and actually bring her on board for some workshops. So like we can dive deeper.
Well, and which leads to the next question or interest is, have you facilitated in art therapy in your career as an artist? And I guess in this case, there's some art therapy happening there, but have you done like specific art therapy sessions?
So every art session is an art therapy session.
Wow.
My degree is the visual art, but it's very hard to separate, again, art from the mind. It's like almost impossible. It's actually, because I feel like art is an extension of the mind. So just being in the arts over the years, I've learned to kind of pull deeper meanings from painting and also like viewing art. I know. So yeah, it's kind of hard to say. So that's actually why I get a licensed therapist, because like that's her field. Like if people have any questions about like deeper things, I may not understand those things or verbate or communicate those things. So I do bring a licensed therapist because like that's her area. So like I'm just observing these things, and then I have a therapist that actually will confirm what my observations and what I've seen.
Right.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's beautiful that you have that kind of additional support if it's needed. And there are many art therapists who do that work without a license. And, not all of them tend to. You just discover that somebody is going through something, or that the art class is revealing something that is going a little bit deeper, and you're the one in the room. So I think that's beautiful that you have that kind of support. Can you tell me what kinds of differences you've observed in your participants in your paint nights before they start as compared to how they are after the paint night event?
Oh, absolutely. It's a total transformation because you come in, a lot of my participants, they come in with a limited belief. Although I find that there's a lot of people who would want to come, and then there's the group that actually does come, and then there's the groups that they're here, but they still have these limiting beliefs of, oh, I can't do that. I can't eat what she did. Like, you've been doing this for years. I can't do it. And it's up to me to kind of just reassure. It's like, you're good. You're fine. I'm here. And if you trust the process and we get to the end, you'll be amazed at what you do. My favorite saying at the beginning of every session is like, the number one thing that everybody says when they come in is like, I can't do that. So, and then at the end, it's a total transformation. It's like, you told yourself you couldn't do it. You went along on the process. So I have to thank everybody for doing that. And then at the end of it, tell me what you experienced, and let's have this dialogue. Let's see what we can talk about now that you've thrown your limiting beliefs out the window.
Right.
Yeah.
And once they've taken the plunge and discovered, gone from not believing they could do this to seeing that there's an end result, which is really beautiful. And it is a transformative moment for anybody at any level.
Imagine if we could apply that in every other area in our lives.
Well, yeah, and I think that's one of the things that we would hope could happen, that just by dipping their toe into this event, that it can be a confidence building experience for some people. I mean, some people come in with confidence, I'm sure, but then for someone who is discovering a certain amount of confidence being built through this event and applying it to other areas in their lives, like, wanting to go out and, ask the person they love to marry them, or for
No,
example,
absolutely.
just out of the blue.
That becomes when you can't see the end picture. Some of us don't want to even, and I've done that, and I've been creating art, and so it's something that is a constant reaffirming, reconnecting. We constantly have to do that, because left to our own, left to ourselves, then sometimes we forget. And so, yeah. So Paint Night is kind of that confirmation and reassuring, not only in the space, and not only in the practicing art, but also in the beliefs that you leave with, and the understanding that you leave with.
Well, that's beautiful. We're going to now take another break to talk about our sponsors and supporters, and we'll be back to have more paint talk with Chika Oh on Cool Life Podcast.
Those lonely days of lockdowns and isolation are gone for good. Go to www.therealthingdating.com. That's www.therealthingdating.com. It's time to share. Share your time, share your life, share your love. www.therealthingdating.com. Join for free. Upgrade at any time, starting at just $5.99 a month. www.therealthingdating.com. Because it's time. This is Cool Life Podcast. Please remember to subscribe to Cool Life on your streaming service and on YouTube as Hellenique Today. That's HELENIQUE Today. Because that helps us to bring more cool stuff to your ears. You're listening to the Cool Life Podcast. We'll be right back.
And we're back on Cool Life Podcast. I'm Eva John, continuing our conversation with artist Chika Oh.
And I keep calling her a therapist, but her name is Shanna K. Stevens. I feel like there's a lot that she can go into, so that allows, like, if the couple wants to, because it has to be an open thing, it can't be something forceful. So I don't like to venture in too deep. I allow her to take over if they do want to observe and talk about what's happening.
Right. So, you were saying that the turning point for you to bring in a therapist was for what type of event?
Couple paint night.
Okay.
So you come in with your couple or your spouse or your significant other, and because there's a lot of information that can be learned about the individual that you did. A lot of couples don't know things. So that it gets exposed on the canvas, right? In a good way, meaning like you get to discover more about your partner that you didn't even know. And this has been your partner for so and so years, and you didn't even know this about them. So that's something great that the therapist can dive deeper in if the couple wants to.
Right. Very interesting and really sensitive on your part to recognize that so much was coming up to the surface in that combination of a couple. And can you tell me, Chika, what do you have to say to people who don't really hold a lot of credit to this type of creative activity?
So I would say that the creative mind, the land of imagination in your brain, like that needs to be, I call it a muscle. It needs to be massaged, and you need that creative space, that creative outlet. I use the paint, but that's not the only outlet you can use it in. You can transform in so many different ways. That's why I like to incorporate music, art, other forms of art within the paint nights because there's so many ways to express yourself. And every human being needs to do it, has to do it. So paint night is just even if painting is not your thing and then that's not your forte, that's fine. It's just challenging yourself to be comfortable in a new material or environment or medium. And can you break down those limiting beliefs and surpass that and actually come out to the end? Who knows, you may actually like it. You know.
Well, how do you incorporate music in your paint events?
Oh, so sometimes I do have a live DJ. Sometimes we're playing off a playlist. Sometimes I actually coordinate the music to the mood of the evening. It all depends on what type of space are we trying to create here. So right now, summertime, the sun is out, the weather is great. So I know, and we just came out of winter, so we need a little bit of upbeat. We need a lot of upbeat music. So I like to use a lot of Afrobeats. I like to use a lot of like Cuban, so a lot of like upbeat tempo, a lot of drums, because that also helps create the environment that we're trying to, create.
Lovely. That's really, really nice extra layer of the experience that you offer. And Chika, can you tell me, what was your journey to becoming an artist?
It started off when I was a kid. I was very young. It was very clear that I liked the arts. My parents actually enrolled me in a art class, and I fell in love after that because I was exposed to clay, I was exposed to sculpture, painting, acrylic, and it was a little bit more advanced. So I know during school, art is very kind of basic. So that sometimes can be a little bit boring, especially for somebody who really enjoys the art. So when my parents did enroll me in a higher level of art, it was like the best thing ever. That was my favorite place to be. And that's because it was constant discovery. Every time I thought I knew something, there was so much more to learn about the different mediums. So it started off there at a young age. I had a curiosity. I was that curious kid. And then it developed into, hey, this is a language that I feel most comfortable expressing myself in. I can paint you a picture of how I'm feeling better than I can actually describe to you using words how I feel. So I just found comfort in the arts because I was able to actually express myself like truly and authentically. Even now at my age, I'm still learning how to express myself through words and other ways of communicating. So that led me to getting my bachelor's in visual arts. And then I got experience teaching at a private school for the arts. And then that leads me to actually facilitating my own spaces and actually curating art spaces all around Toronto today. And I actually have my own personal body of work that I work on. Last year I came over one, this year I'm working on another one. So yeah, it's been a amazing and interesting and self-discovering journey that continues and restarts and continues till this day. Yeah. And yeah, so that's where I am.
It's exciting. It's beautiful. The interest, which is really something completely organic through your childhood until now. So for someone else out there in the wider world who is interested in art, can you tell what would be required as far as their education or level of experience to go from someone who's interested in art to somebody who actually becomes an artist?
So I like to say everybody is a creative. Actually, like as we grow older, we kind of turn it off. So you just need to re-engage back into that creative curiosity. And it can range from any type of medium. It doesn't have to be just the painting. So just immerse yourself in what it is that you enjoy doing. So for myself, and it's painting. That's my number one, but my artist skills also transfer in other areas. So being consistent in the art, so constantly creating art, failed art, success, and then you start differentiating your type of artwork. The failed ones, there is no failures, but the ones that you feel are less successful versus the ones that are more successful, and then you learn your artist practices, and then you just constantly have to be repeating and immersing yourself in that. And then that's essentially how you become an artist. And then once you sell a couple pieces, and then you'll see that, hey, revenue is possible. And then, yeah.
And for a young person trying to plan out what they might do as far as an education, what should they be aiming for?
Well, you have to think about, how do you want to show up in the art world? Like, some people are curators, some people want to actually produce art, some people. So for those who want to produce art, I would actually reach out to an artist who is an artist who is that you admire, that's where you want to be.
Right.
So that you can get that mentorship. So when I was early on in my process, I had the opportunity to do that with a Toronto artist, Benny Bing. He allowed me to have a sit down conversation with him, and I just picked his brain. How do you navigate this? So how did you get to where you are? And what does that look like for you? Because I see his artwork all around Toronto, and I'm like, that's what I want. I want when people walk into condos, you see my artwork. I want when you go into a gallery space, you see my artwork. So go to somebody that you admire their artwork and actually ask them how to navigate that artwork. But again, art is all about self-discovery and being authentic. So you gotta be comfortable understanding yourself and being able to be authentic and expressing yourself on the canvas. That's number one.
Of course, right.
Yeah.
Now, for a paint night, is the purpose of a paint night for the clients to just have a lot of fun, or is this also an opportunity where you're teaching actual techniques for painting?
So I mix everything in. I think art can be taught in a fun way. So I like to sneak in techniques you don't even realize that you're learning until, because sometimes people can be a little bit resistant when it's too rigid. So that's the best way to learn, is like when you're having fun and when you're actually like being curious. Like that's the best way to like learn techniques and foundation. Little did you know, I just taught you the basic of creating an image. Like I taught you how I come up with my body of works, but I just break it down and let's have fun with it. Like it's let's have a social gathering. Let's have a party. Let's enjoy.
That's great. So you're gonna have the experience of fun and the experience of learning genuine techniques as well.
Absolutely.
Fantastic.
Because it can be combined together, right? Why separate the two?
Right. Now, Chika, have you ever observed a client at a paint night that it was revealed that they have an enormous amount of talent, and that they just discovered that right in front of your eyes on a paint night? Have you ever encountered that?
Absolutely. And those ones I had to have a conversation with, and I had to ask, are you what is your in what other ways are you creative? Because they may have painted for the first time here, but your comfortability, your openness to the medium, to the canvas, allowed you to flow, like your authenticity flowed very well on the canvas. So it's like, and I observed that and picked that up. So it's like, in what other areas are you creative in? Doesn't necessarily have to be painting. Those are usually what I ask. And it's revealed that, well, actually they sing, or actually they dance, or do nails, or like design, right? Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Now, this is such an opportunity for you as a creative person. Can you tell me what has been the most fulfilling part of being a facilitator for paint events?
Oh man. It's so fulfilling. There's so many things that's fulfilling. Watching people reconnect with their creativity is amazing, because not only for the event, understanding that you can create things out of, like, you can create an ending that you never even thought of, that you never thought that you can do. You can break down those doors. So seeing somebody doing that in the fit, like in person, is amazing. It's like you came in saying that you cannot do this, and by the end of the session, you actually did the exact same thing that you said that you couldn't do. So seeing that in real time is actually like I just have to give them a round of applause. So that's one avenue. And then also seeing people who get to reconnect with the creativity that they had when they were a child. And it's like, I like to ask at the beginning of the class, like, is this your first time painting? Like, when was the last time you painted? And a lot of the answers are, when I was a kid. And it's like, no wonder, because you're having a blast on the canvas, and it shows. So I like to I like when the individual reconnects with that, because it's like, it's something that you like, nudge nudge, hint hint, you probably should be diving into more often.
Right.
Yeah. And the smiles on people's faces, it's just like the curiosity, like, how is it that you're going to navigate something like this? Because at the end of the day, it's perception. The participant is looking at my canvas, and then understanding that information, and then taking it and applying it to their own canvas. So it's like, watching people navigate how to do it is also like very interesting. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad there is a fulfilling part of this for you.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So fascinating seeing how
It
you
is.
to impart.
It is.
It's really fascinating to see how you've imparted art to the wider world. And this is going to wrap up part one of our conversation. Before we go, Chika, can I ask you once again to please tell me your website?
Yes, www.createwithchikao.com. So that's www.createwithchikaoh.com.
Thank you. That's OH, y'all. OH. And so thank you so much, Chika, for your time. And until next time, please keep an eye out for our schedule for part two of my conversation with Chika Oh. I'm Eva John for Cool Life Podcast.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Bye.
And that was our show. Thank you for listening to the very end. Please remember to subscribe through your streaming service to get more access to our guest interviews. Also, please subscribe on YouTube to help support our podcast. Until next time, I'm Eva John for Cool Life Podcast. Thank you for turning me on.